Hey there, Paul here. And in this lesson, we're going to talk about the top 3 investments that I like today in the current marketplace and current economic framework that we're in. When we look at investments, there's a couple of components that we need to consider. Number one, we want to be a good steward of the money the Lord's blessed us with. So that means we want it to grow, right? The parable of the talents, there was 3 folks. One went out, 5, brought back 5, doubled. One went out, doubled. One buried. And, the Lord was not happy with that dude. He took the one that the guy buried and gave it to the one with 10. So he ended up with 11. And when we're looking at stewardship, we have to look at safety. We have to look at return or growth. We have to look at inflation. We have to look at tax implications. And there's a number of things that we need to pay attention to. And just so I'm stating this very clearly, this is not investment advice. This is not legal advice. This is not anything. You go and talk to somebody that knows your situation. Everybody's situation is different. I'm not a financial certified dude. I'm just sharing some things that are working well for me and for our other members. Okay. So the key is to identify and decide upon the investment type based on your objective. Are you looking for growth of asset, or are you looking from cash flow from asset? My vote for you would be, until you have enough cash flow coming in from income producing assets, cash flow producing assets, then keep focusing on that until your passive income exceeds your monthly expenses for your personal budget. If you need to live on $6,000 a month and you have $7,000 a month coming in passively, then you're financially independent. You can do whatever you want, go wherever you want. You can focus on growing your income more and sowing more into the kingdom of God. And you'll see about that in our manifesto where we talk about the triple X framework. You can go to christianentrepreneurinc.com/tips and you can see more about that. But for this purpose, you need to identify, because certain assets will be more geared towards growth of asset. Other assets will be more geared towards cash flow from asset. So on top of that, there's also active and passive investment categories. So active means you have to work for it. You have to be involved with it. You have to babysit it, pay attention to it, make decisions with it. Passive is, according to my definition, passive. You make a decision one time on the front end, and then you invest money into it, and then you're done. There'll be a certain timeline that the money is at work, and then you get your money back, and then you go do it again. So we're going to talk about passive investments. And again, once you put the money in, you don't have to think about it. There's zero effort, zero work. Once you do the research, due diligence on the asset, we put money in, and it just collects the interest passively. Another way to think about that is mailbox money. Now, an accredited investor is somebody who's earned over a couple $100,000 for the last couple of years, or has a net worth of over $1 million, not including their primary residence. When you're an accredited investor, you have access to additional asset opportunities that non-accredited investors don't have. So it's a really good objective to try to get accredited as soon as you can, because it opens up a whole new world. And I've been accredited for quite a long time, and it's fascinating to me how just because I have this one little thing, accreditation, right? I can do things that other people can't. I don't think it's fair, but it is. It's part of the regulations. You can get an accreditation, an accredited letter from your CPA, and I'm not saying to do this, but I am saying that there are some CPAs that will just create a letter for you to unlock these doors. There's some people that believe that, hey, we can own firearms and we can lose all of our money in the market. So why the heck can't we have access to these other categories of assets? So again, I'm not telling you to do that. I didn't do that. However, I will say this, that if I wasn't an accredited investor, I would probably be looking at that and praying real hard about that, because the rules around that are they're gray and they're always changing. So, and anyway, enough said about that. I'm not saying for you to do anything that you're uncomfortable with. I'm just saying that people who have this label have access to stuff that people who don't have this label don't. And in many ways, I don't believe that that's fair. So in any event, we're going to go over both scenarios. We're going to start with the accredited investor. Now, here's something I want you to take a look at. I wanted to include this as a bonus, and this is a whole seminar in and of itself. I'm not going to go over this, but it talks about forever freedom. It's very important. So, accredited options here. Realty Mogul. I like this one. I have money in this one. And what this is a syndication platform. Now, you can go check out their site. It's realtymogul.com. And what they do is they vet deals. So there's people out there in the marketplace that'll go find deals, and then they need money to complete the deals. So you can imagine there's a lot of expertise on the finding of the deals, the capital situation in the deals, the improvement of the deals. And what I really like about these guys is they've been around for a while, and they're very conservative. I feel like my money's protected. And many of their syndication partners have deals with the institutional investors, the hedge funds, pension funds, and they basically say, look, if you get us this target ROI, then we will buy this project from you. And when you deal with assets like apartment complexes, think of like a 300 unit apartment complex. Well, they grade those. There's like A complex, B, C. And what these guys and gals that know about this stuff can do is they can go find a property, and then they can look at it and they can update it. So maybe it doesn't have a playground, so they add a playground. Maybe it doesn't have a pool, so they add a pool. Maybe they add granite countertops. They refresh the landscaping. And what they can do then is they can drive up the rents, and therefore the property hits that target metric that these institutional funds, hedge funds, pension funds are looking for. And so my point in saying all that is it becomes very scientific. Okay. I don't have the time. I don't care to learn all that stuff. I just assume leave that to the professionals and experts. So Realty Mogul does a really great job. You can get some good solid returns. It's 18%. You need to have a minimum of 35K, and you can get access to a lot of really good investment opportunities. And it's very simple too. Fund That Flip's another one. And what they do is they invest in developmental projects or rehab projects. And so Fund That Flip, you can get about a 9-10% return. It's a $5,000 minimum, and you get a note. So you get a first lien or deed against that asset, and they do very conservative loan to value. So if the thing's worth $100,000, the max that they'll lend is like $60,000. That way, if something goes sideways, they can get that money back. And they've got a really good track record. It's a company that's been around, great reputation, and you get paid interest. So if you invest $5,000, you get a monthly check, a deposit, and then at the end of that term, you get the principal back. And then you just repeat it. Okay. Another great asset, and this is for non-accredited as well, accredited or non-accredited, and anybody can do this, but stablecoin. I really like stablecoin. And when I first heard about this, I was kind of blown away. I'm like, why hadn't I heard about this before? And I got confused because I heard cryptocurrency, and before I educated myself, I thought that was weird stuff, but I took the time to educate myself, and now I understand it better. However, stablecoin is a cryptocurrency that is backed by the US dollar. So for each stablecoin, there is one USD set aside in storage for that stable coin, hence the word stable. So it's cryptocurrency, but it's stable cryptocurrency. You don't have all the volatility. And there's companies that pay 4, 8, 10, 12% off of that. It's totally liquid. So you can put your money in, you can let it earn interest, you can take your money back out, and it's fantastic. Nexo is a great platform. BlockFi, Coinbase recently announced that they're going to offer interest on stablecoin. They pay 4%, but that's okay because Coinbase is a public company. They're solid. They're US based. I've got money in all three of those platforms. So cryptocurrency, stablecoin in particular, USDC stablecoin, you can get some great returns, and cash sitting in a bank account, depending on who you listen to as far as the inflation rate, it's just kind of melting, right? It's just every month it's going down. It's not going down, but the purchase power of that money is going down because a loaf of bread today costs more than it did a year ago, right? So stablecoin is a great way to just have liquid cash sitting there that's not melting. And then the last thing for the accredited investor side, which is both accredited and also not accredited, is note buying. So there's this company, I believe they're one of the largest real estate companies in the country, and they have notes, and you can go and take a look at that, and you can get up to 17.5% interest. You just take a look at this. This is pretty cool. Now, when you invest in these things, you have to keep in mind that there's a liquidity concern, right? Realty Mogul, you don't have access to that money until that investment matures, which could be 3 to 5 years. Fund that flip, typically it's 12 months. Stablecoin is fully liquid. And then this note buying, they will, the term determines your return, right? So take a look at that. You can just go to these different websites and look at them. But now, if you're not yet accredited, what options do you have? Well, stablecoin, great option. Again, we talked about that. Note buying, great option. I believe the minimum here is 50 grand. Let's see. Yeah, 50 grand minimum. And, same thing. You give them 50 grand, you get monthly payments, and then you get your 50 grand returned at the end of the term, which is pretty cool. It's like how we get money working for us. So that's an option. And then Ground Floor, I'm also invested in this platform. Ground Floor is pretty cool. It's very similar to Fund That Flip, except you don't need to be accredited. So with Ground Floor, you have the ability to invest in short-term, high-yield real estate debt investments available to the general public. Okay, so about 10%, $10 minimum. So this one is a smaller minimum. And then what you do is you log in, and there are different types of, like you can see. Let me make this large. There's different types of investment grades, C, D, et cetera, et cetera. And so you can come in here and you can pick, and you can diversify your cash amongst these different investments. And it's pretty cool, 11%, 13%, 10%. And they give you the loan to ARV. So it's, these are safe-ish investments. Now, keep in mind, anytime you invest in something, there's a risk of loss. So that's why you want to be a good steward of your investments and the money the Lord's given to you. But here's some ideas to get you started. And in my opinion, what most people don't do is when they're looking at their assets, right? A balance sheet is your assets, your liabilities, and you subtract what you owe from what you own, and that gives you basically your equity or your net worth. Well, what most people don't do is they don't put the most important asset on that balance sheet, which is themselves. So I've always learned, I learned this a long time ago from mentors of mine, that you want to invest in yourself and you want to invest in your business. So that's what I always suggest people do. And when you're investing in yourself, you're investing in education, learning, taking care of yourself, your body, your mind, stuff like that. And then investing in your business, right? So if you don't have one yet, you understand our paradigm, our framework is 3 steps, right? You have to have a business model, you have to have a mentor, and then you have to have a good, solid mindset. Okay. And so that's what we do. We here at the Christian Business Incubator for the last 15, 20 years now have helped over 900 and some Christians to build a business of excellence from their home with their laptop, their computer, cell phone. And we go deep into those 3 frameworks, and we help you to build a business that can produce, our first goal for our members is 15 grand a month passive income. And we do that through the vehicle of real estate. However, the way we do it does not involve any debt, does not involve any credit, does not involve any risk. We don't flip. We're not flippers, because that's a job, right? You do the deal and you have nothing left. We build and acquire cash flow producing assets. And I did my first deal 20 some years ago, and it's just an incredible, incredible business model. What I love about it is you get paid on the front end, you get monthly cash flow, you get paid on the back end. There's actually about 5 other ways that we get paid through taxes and appreciation and depreciation and principal pay down, a bunch of different things. But it doesn't change much. What I'm doing today is pretty similar to what I did 20 years ago. Now, the marketing can change, right? We have Facebook, we didn't have that. But I love that it's an evergreen business model, so I've only had to learn it once. And the thing works without a lot of my effort and time, which is the definition of a business. It should be a profitable enterprise that works without us. Most people who start a business just have a job. And one of the cool things that we do is we structure it such that most people are able to get their first check in about 45 days. Why? because we make it so easy, right? We give our members leads, so they don't have to putz around with that. Then we teach them a very simple system to effectively talk to the leads to get a simple one-page contract signed. And we let them use our credibility. We let them use our website, so it sounds like they've been in business for 10 years instead of 10 seconds. So when they get started, all they got to do is focus on one thing. And as soon as they get that one-page piece of paper signed, we get them a $5,000 check minimum. Again, based on that piece of paper falling within standard parameters of what constitutes a deal. But then what we do, step 2, is we show them how to then take that money, that $5,000 or more, and reinvest it into the growth of their business. So we show them how to hire a seller finder so they don't have to screw around being on the phone. We show them how to invest into marketing so that they can develop their own marketing lead channels. And we've already designed all of it, so it's basically plug and play. So it's like a business in a box. It's like a franchise. And then we show them how to scale up and how to just build a business of excellence that can generate 15, 20, 30 grand a month with a few hours a week of their time. So all that said to say, always invest in yourself, always invest in your business. And then, in my opinion, it makes sense to look at these things. So if somebody had 10 grand and they're like, Paul, what should I do with the 10 grand? I would say invest in your business to create a $10,000 to $20,000 a month cash flow from that business. And then now you have your time back. Now you can scale that up, right? Because it's like Legos. Once you learn how to do it, once you learn how to lift 100 pounds, it's easy to lift 50 pounds, right? Once you learn how to lift 100 pounds with some type of a leverage machine, then you can go lift 100 pounds whenever you want, right? So if you want 15 grand, if you want to go from 15 grand a month to 30 grand a month, well, you just do more of what you did to get to 15 grand a month. Wealth is easy. It's simple. It's not easy. Wealth is simple, but it's not sexy. That's what I meant to say. If you want something exciting, go ride a roller coaster. Wealth should be boring. Why? Because we want it systematizable, duplicatable, consistent, and predictable. Okay, so that's the way we believe things should be done. That's what I believe based on my interpretation and reading and study of the Bible. And because the key is we don't want a business to be another job. We don't want a business to take 40 hours a week. We want to acquire our personal and economic freedom so that we can sow into the kingdom, so that we can be free to see where the Lord wants us to go and what he wants us to put our hands to and have the resources to do it. It's the love of money that's the root of all evil, not money. More money in the hands of a good person is good. What funds hospitals? What feeds kids? What rescues sex trafficked people? What sends the ministers and funds the ministries? Money, 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 right? But the world system is to love money and use people. The kingdom system is to love people and use money. And Deuteronomy 8:18 says, it's God who gives us the power to create wealth. Why? To establish his covenant. Well, he's love. His covenant is people. He is love. Therefore, we use wealth to bless people. So sequentially, I would say if you got 10 grand, you might want to consider taking a look at what we do at the incubator. And if not, find another business model that you can put your hands to, and then focus 100% on that and just let the cash pile up. And then once you can step back, you'll have more money than you know what you need to do with, right? Like that's what the problem I ran into. That's how I had to figure all this stuff out. So at that point is when you would want to invest. If you start to try to invest too soon, then you become scatterbrained, but you'll also slow down your cash engine, right? Because your business is what kicks off the cash to then redeploy. If you skip that step, then your cash engine is simply your job. And you're going to be limited and restricted on your income, but also your time. So sequentially, in my opinion, it makes more sense to build a cash engine. Then you can take the surplus and you can reinvest that into cash flow producing assets. So hope this helps. If you'd like to get some more information on the incubator, you can go to christianentrepreneurinc.com/tips. We put a manifesto on there, me talking some more about this stuff. There's a 90-minute video walking you through a little bit of what we do. And then you can book a discovery call and just talk with one of our team about, if this makes sense, if it's the right time, if you're a good fit, and we can go from there. So bless you. Have a great time. Hope this was helpful, and we'll hopefully talk to you soon. Have a great day.